that peace, and it's that acceptance of things being how they are as they are right now is where true gratitude is found.
So how can you use gratitude then to like build a future, like the future that you want? Like, I mean, because I personally, I've tried this whole goal planning thing. It never worked out for me personally.
Because journaling is if you can't journal, it's because you're not very good at staying in the present moment. So not being good at journaling doesn't mean you're not a good journalist or not a good writer. It's a symptom of your inability to be in the present moment. That's how I view people that don't journal very well. So it's just another expression of how important it is, not that they journal, but that they get better at being in the moment. Okay. So, and all these forecasts and goal planning, you're projecting yourself into the future. So it's going to be hard to be in the state of gratitude then. So you use the term using gratitude. I think actually gratitude that comes organically uses you. A person that's filled with gratitude can't stop from positively infecting other people, can't stop from being productive in the world. You can't stop from making people smile. You can't stop from writing beautiful poetry or music. You can't stop from being incredibly creative in the boardroom or incredibly loving with your wife or your children. Gratitude uses you. I don't think you use gratitude. And I think that when you're in that state of gratitude, gratitude grabs you by the fucking head and just puts you in the most beautiful of directions. And people can't stop from being attracted to you. You know, let's say you have two business people, to be pragmatic for a second, and you have one they're both really great at sales. They both have a great product, but one just is naturally grateful for things. They're just going to attract people just out on accident. It's just, they don't know why they choose you over the other person, but it's that field of energy. It's that presence. It's that calm peace. It's that calming presence that gratitude gives you. So that's how I look at gratitude. It's either the ability or the inability to be present in the moment and accepting for things exactly as they are. And
sorry to interrupt, because I'm so like, I'm learning from you right now. So what about when, because like the whole thing with writing things down, like again, this is hardware, right? They say that it activates both the right and the left side, the hemisphere of the brain. And so that it's instead of just like speaking it out loud, writing it down, it's like, it's almost like you're ingraining it onto your brain, and you're creating this neural pathway so that over time it becomes real. Because they did this, I don't want to get into too scientific, but there's not a big difference between what's real and what's not real.
There's nothing.
If it's in your mind.
There's no difference.
Right? There isn't. Because if you think you're depressed, you're depressed. True. If you think you're happy, you're happy. If you believe that you live a rich and wealth life, like a life of abundance, I'm not saying financial, I'm just saying a life full of abundance, then that's who you are. And that's your personification to the world. And that, you know what I mean? So then, that being said, then is there a practical application to writing things down? I'm curious.
Yeah, there is. And again, I'm going to give you my opinion here, not to be controversial against all these other gurus. I just have to suggest that those things that you're writing down are incredibly disingenuous.
They are.
At their core.
They are. Other than the things that the things that you're grateful for, like today, like I was, because at the end of the day, I do a grateful thing with my daughters. I'm like, well, you're great. I just do one. Like, what's one thing you're grateful for? And they'll tell me. And then I'll share the thing I was grateful for. And that's more genuine than me writing it down, because as I've been doing this for a decade, longer, and as I'm writing it down, like I'm grateful for this podcast, whatever the case may be. Like, it's not real, but I try to get into a state of mind of it being real. And the funny thing is 50% of the time, as I'm trying to write these positive things down, something negative is entering my brain.
Now, here's the thing that's cool about what kids do. When you do it with kids, they say the most silly things, and they come up with them really quick. And they're like, I'm grateful for my peanut butter jelly sandwich. And just,
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so simple and so naive, but it's also the most pure, is because they are in the moment.
Yeah.
right? And so we're trying to be in the moment. So we're using this tool as a way to get us into the moment, to be thankful for things, and my 401k and the love of my spouse, and I got slippers on my feet, and there's experts that talk about the most simple things, to give 10 things that you're most simple for. You have a warm jacket on, and and I'm not saying all those are bad. I'm just saying that those are such elementary level ways of approaching actual gratitude. And I'm thankful for them, and I think that they have helped people. But why do you think there's so much fucking misery in the world if there's all these great tools?
No, I'm with you. And the reason why I'm asking isn't for the person that wrote this question. I'm asking for me because, like, you should know me, but I think pretty well by now that I'm always trying to get better, and I genuinely want to know how you get into gratitude, because I mean, if there's a better way, I want to learn it. I want to apply it. I want to know what it is. What is the thing that I'm missing? Because I feel like the thing that I've been missing is the thing that I've been doing with my kids, and yet I neglect that for my own gratitude, and I try to focus on something that is a tool. But you're right. Like, I think we overcomplicate things.
We do a lot of times. And so those are great understandings. Like, I've read in depth about the brain, and, depth about our chemical processing and what you're talking about with the priming, and absolutely. But what happens when you don't have those headphones and you're in a boardroom,
Right.
or what?
Yep.
And so I'm trying to say, well, how do you graduate from those tools to the state of being? So personally, for me, I'm just sharing my own personal experience. It comes from the acceptance of the now as it is, how it is, where it is. And I think about those things. I've never said this out loud before either. These are my own internal thoughts. I've written about it here in this book that I'm using as notes today. But it's how it is, where it is, as it is. And if I can accept that, and really purely accept it, and then I'm like, wow, what an amazing, I'm grateful for that. And if I'm grateful for that, I'm grateful for literally everything. And it's wild. The other day, this guy, I was driving back, it was actually Monday, driving back from the mountain, and this guy pulled up next to me, and he was in the backseat of this car. It was a junker car, and this girl was driving, and there was a dog in the front seat, rolled down his window. He just started yelling profanities at me, right? So somehow he thought, like, I cut him off at the way this road merged or whatever, and I didn't, whatever. And I'm like, and he's hanging out the window, he's yelling at me, right? So initially, I'm telling you, I'm like, let's go. Like, we're pulling over, and who's your right to yell at me, and all that kind of stuff. And as I was rolling down the window, my new programming took over. I didn't think about it. I didn't do a shift, and all of a sudden, out of the words of my mouth, I'm like, hey man, I'm so sorry you're feeling that way. I'll do better. That's literally all I said. He looked at me, and he goes, man, I'm sorry, such an asshole. It's just been a bad day. And now we're doing like 20 miles an hour. We're going through Sandy, right? And I'm like, I had one the other day too, man. Hope your day gets better. And he's like, you too, brother, you too. And we rolled up our windows and kept going, and that I rolled my window. I'm like, where'd that come from? But it's because I've been just continually working on my ego doesn't matter. He's in some sort of pain. He's just taking it out of me in the moment. Maybe I cut him off. Maybe I didn't. I doubt it. That doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. The way he feels about it is what's relevant at the time. Let me just not make it any bigger deal. It's not about me. And it just diffuses it instantly. That's such a great way. I'm not patting myself, but that's just such a great way to be. And I didn't have any anger. I didn't have any frustration. I was just great. I was like, man, that was amazing. And just kept going, And so that's just that constant practice of not needing things to be any different than they are. The constant practice of not putting my fingerprints on every situation. The situation can just be with or without me. It's that level of humility, that like not thinking less. I feel like I have skills, right? But I just don't think about myself a lot. And I was thinking about that man in that moment. The old me, I would have thought about myself, and I would have puffed my chest, and we would have pulled over, right? Stupid.